Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Cast, our Dungeons & Dragons web series. I am Russell-san, and with me I have...
S.A.N.
When last we left off, Aquans Jonas were tasked by a rather dapper individual, whose name we tend to forget, and I keep referring to as Steed.
It works.
Tasked them with infiltrating a river boat where a gambling ring seemed to have been set up. And various people in the city were being fleeced of all their money, and had no real memory of the incident. Disguising themselves as party guests and going aboard the ship, they managed to infiltrate it with some minor issues along the way. Managed to gather the information they thought that would be necessary to aid in casting confirming suspicions of the local authorities. These included some incense and wine, which had been drugged with some sort of narcotic agent, and as well as a log and ledger from the inside the hold of the ship. And that's pretty much what happened, with Aquans and Jonas heading back.
Don't forget you saved the dwarf's life.
Yes, and Aquans managed to save some dwarven member of the party guest who had been thrown overboard, wrapped in chains by a crystalline knight, which resembled something something similar to what our party has dealt with in the past.
There you go.
That's really all that happened of note last time. So we headed back in the, well, I suppose technically middle of the night, back to the Whipperwill Inn. Oh, also, one other thing that we did last time was surveil the Platinum Dragon Inn, and briefly, in order to gain information on how to deal with the Lady Vapula, the sorceress of the Court of the Seven, who was becoming a more present problem to be dealt with.
Yes, that is a more imminent thing that we need to deal with.
Right. So we went back to the inn, the Whipperwill, that we've been staying at.
Yes.
We turned in, after doing all our usual security measures, and we get a full night's rest.
Yep.
So,
Burned a few spell slots. Basically, got through that unscratched. It's kind of nice.
yeah, almost.
I was unscratched.
They are minor injuries.
I was a little girl, so no one's going to shoot a little girl.
There are a great many people who would, but we'll glaze over that.
Probably. Especially in this world. Okay.
So,
Wake up.
we do not wake up in our normal, comfortable manner. Our sleep is disturbed, unfortunately.
Did we still get our long rest?
Yes, we do get a long rest, but it's basically we're woken up suddenly. This is where, in fact, we're not basically being allowed to sleep in, basically. As an immense tremor shakes our room. Like, suddenly, it feels like, well, we live near an area that has a volcano, so we've probably experienced tremors and earthquakes before.
Is it similar to that? Like I said, being on the plateau with the volcano, we have experienced earthquakes from volcanic activity. Is this similar to that?
Roll a nature check if you want. Just by going off of feeling.
Sure. I'm still sleepy.
Yeah. You're not sure. It's a sizable quake, though. The room does shake, and that startles us from our sleep, and
Well, definitely gotta get up.
yeah. And it lasts for almost a full minute before subsiding.
Wow. This is serious.
All right, and then it's just as quickly as it came, it is gone.
I'm gonna listen for a second.
Okay.
Is there panic in this room? Like in the inn? People are running around? Is this causing some terror?
You do hear sounds of movement below, and probably some raised voices asking. You basically think there is a bit of panic in the inn, and you can also hear stuff from outside. So.
Alright. I'm gonna hurriedly get dressed.
Yep.
Get my stuff in a pile and head down to the common area.
All right, and I will also get ready and follow you down. Alright, so we head down out of our room, down to the common area. And there are some things on the floor, like dishes have fallen, glasses, stools have fallen over. Some people are just getting up from underneath tables. because apparently they think that would save them from an earthquake. But it doesn't look too bad. It actually probably felt a bit worse than...
So, no structural damage?
No structural damage here, no, just things falling over and stuff. And people are quickly realizing that this was not... wherever that was centered was not here.
Okay, I'm gonna stick my head out the door. What's the mood in the street?
There is some confusion, but not much panic. It's just like, what's going on? You can see people just like looking around like, what's happening? You can make a perception check if you want to actually get any more detail listening to these conversations.
Oh, I seem to be waking up a little bit. 14.
That is enough. That's like, yeah, it's just like, what's going on? Everything suddenly was shaking. There was like an earthquake. It says like, everyone's like, are you insane? Look around. All the buildings are intact. It says, we're clearly fine. It says, it seemed to have come from further in town, someone says. Another person says, look, you can still see a faint dust cloud in that direction.
I look that way, and what do I see?
Well, it is basically heading again towards the center of town because we're near the edge here.
So we are here.
Yep. And
what has happened to me here?
It's in that direction.
Or here?
Well, what you're hovering over there is the Platinum Dragon Inn. It's in that direction, yes.
Alright, I'm gonna forego an early breakfast, and I'm gonna head that way, and I'm going to... People are still not really paying attention to us a whole lot.
No, but there are people heading in this direction to see what's going on, so we're not alone in this.
I'm gonna have my owl pop into existence, not on my shoulder, I think, but just off to the side, and then have her fly ahead.
Okay. So she's flying ahead to scout while we head that way.
Yes. And I'm gonna put my hand on your shoulder and perceive through her senses for a second, see what and where or whatever that this is happening. 19.
Well, you would have to roll the natural one to miss this. So
pretty close to the other end.
yeah, so as your owl flies closer, you can move on to the next slide so we can get a picture of that. Zoom in. So this is what the area around the town square looks like now.
Okay, so the Platinum Dragon is no more.
Looks like it has collapsed in on itself mostly. You remember it was a tall building, and the top few floors still seem relatively intact, but the base of it has collapsed in on itself. Trees have fallen over onto the inn, and yes, that is fire you see there. There is smoke, and there is a definite just dust in the air.
Okay.
And there are people panicking towards this end of town, and there's a heavy watch presence around the inn.
Okay, so people running out of the building screaming?
No one is running out of the building, as far as you can tell at the moment.
So Mal did a little circle over that. Is there living that I see? You said the upper stories weren't really affected that much?
No. It looks like the top two floors are mostly intact.
So there's nobody like hanging out a window trying to lower a rope or bed sheets or asking for help or anything?
There are members of the watch going in, trying to find their way into the building and find ways of entrance, but not at the moment, no.
Okay, I'm gonna just have my owl pop out of existence, come to myself again, and I think we should hurry quickly there.
Alright, well, hurrying there quickly is a relatively limited... Sorry, our method of moving there quickly is somewhat limited by the fact that there is a huge swath of people heading that way in a crowd.
Alright. I will do my best to try and...
The only good news in the matter is that the entire population of Vyrn's Run is not heading in the same direction we are, because this is relatively the center of town.
Right. Okay. Get there as quick as I can.
Okay. Even then, it still takes us a few minutes to get there.
the fire small enough that you can put it out with your create water?
By the time we get there, the flames are actually being put out already. So there are members of the watch present and there's a fountain not far. So the flames weren't too intense, but there was fire. Part of the building had caught fire somehow.
So not as graphic as that, then.
No, this is just the limited.
Yeah,
It's a bit, yeah.
Anyone in the watch that I know, or more importantly, that knows me or us?
Well, we don't know anyone in the watch the same way we knew the watch in Lakeside, so...
Well, no, not at that level, but we have had some dealings with them. We've helped them out. Does anyone there know who we are? So if we start poking around, we might have some form of authority to be here.
You can you look around and you don't see anyone. The problem is, like I said, we haven't gotten on to know any of the watch on a personal level, so...
Alright, that's fine. So I don't recognize anybody.
No.
And as I head towards the building itself that's on fire, does anyone try and stop me?
So you're going to actually... well, as you can see, one of the trees that had... Basically, there was a grove of trees around the Platinum Dragon, and some of them have fallen down, and one has fallen right across the road there.
Okay.
So at the moment, we're just behind that. And the watch is definitely trying to keep everyone back as they...
Well, I'm not really going to listen to them. I'm not going to be belligerent about it, but I do want to get closer to the building. As close as I can, actually. Is it so the fire is mostly out, right?
Yeah, the fire's being put out at this point.
Okay. No one's hanging out of windows, screaming, needing help.
There are windows being opened at this point. It seems like they're just a little slow to come to the realization that the building has collapsed. But they're getting to it at this point.
Okay, so most of the damage is in the front then?
Most of the... No, it's the lower floors where most of the damage is. It's basically come down in on itself almost.
Okay. So the upper floors stayed where they were, but...
Well, no, they've fallen down.
They went down?
Yes. Because there's nothing below... There's not much supporting them below anymore.
Okay, so... alright. These people must have been quite drunk. Not to notice their building shifting 10 or 15 feet south.
Well, they probably did notice it, but they... what were they going to do about it?
True enough. Alright, no one's screaming, no one asking for help.
This isn't an adventure frequented by adventurers. This is an inn for the upper society.
Yeah. Okay, I know the room that Vapula was in.
Yes. That was the penthouse on the very top floor.
Yes, which is this close to the ground.
Which is considerably close to the ground, yes.
Is she in visual range? Can I see her?
Make a perception check.
I will pop my owl out for this. Have her roost in one of the fallen trees.
Okay.
We're looking at a 22.
You do not see Vapula anywhere in the presence. You do notice that the window that was on the balcony is open. So there is you can see that there is a way to get in that way if you want.
Is there any movement there?
None at the moment, no.
Okay, I have my owl flap and perch on...
The roof?
No, just the railing of her balcony.
Okay. So that's probably a change of about 15 feet at this point.
Yeah, a little 15 feet closer to the ground.
No, it's 30 feet closer to the... 30... It would be closer to... It would be 40 feet closer to the ground than it was.
Wow.
Well, 30. No, 30 because it's 10 foot per floor. Yeah, so it's come down 30.
If I remember right, was a little bit taller than the others, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just going to the balcony, right? So...
No big deal.
And the watch does seem to be getting survivors, of which there do seem to be some out of the inn. But based on the damage, and considering this literally does seem to be where the center of this earthquake would have been, there are likely numerous casualties.
Okay. Any activity in her room?
Done.
Listening?
Okay, you're listening? Well, I'm just going off the previous perception check you made.
Yeah.
You do not... you don't hear anything.
Hey. Have my own pop out of existence again. I'm going to try and make a way around to... Do I know of any entrances into this inn besides the front one that we went in?
You mean the one that is now collapsed?
Yeah, the one that's not there anymore.
The most likely one is probably the back window that was on the balcony. That seems like the closest way.
Okay. Well, I can get up there.
Yes.
Um,
So can I.
yeah.
We need to get in that way.
That is the question.
I did say we were planning on having be a bit more prepared than we actually are for this at the moment, so we don't have to go immediately.
No.
We're also technically down a third of the planned party for this.
Yeah. I'm going to make my way around to the front. I'm going to...
Obviously, you do not see Samal, the tiefling spy who Sir Reardon was... who introduced us to Sir Reardon, and we were involved in planning the... Well, let's call it what it is. Assassination of this sorceress. You don't see him either. Then again, he can turn invisible, so...
Yeah. Going around to the front.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep an eye out on people. Like I keep an eye and make sure... Like, I know a fair number of people in town now. And I look for familiar faces. But also, I'm going to look for someone, like, possibly disguised magically. And also, I want to think... As I'm going around this building, is there an arcane reason for this, which I suspect there is?
That's an awful lot to work into one check, so you have to give me a moment. Alright, let's...
Several different checks.
Yeah, we're going to have to break that up a little bit. So we're going to start with you surveying the crowd, I think. So you're looking for people who are... Suspicious individuals and those possibly disguised via magic. Okay, that's...
Familiar faces.
That's definitely another perception check.
That perception check is 14.
14, okay. Not as good.
No.
What?
My owl wasn't out to help.
No. And you're looking for something very specific. You don't recognize a lot of... Sometimes you occasionally see like a familiar face, but you can't put a name to that face because they're just a stranger you've seen walking through the streets, basically. And you don't see anyone really behaving suspiciously. There's a crowd gathering around this, which is not unusual for a spectacle.
It's entertainment from some people's perspective.
And others have a look of horror on their face, and at least a few people seem to be somewhat smirking a little bit that probably the finest inn in town has collapsed in on itself. Some people probably are taking a little twisted joy at that. Those less well off. And you definitely did not roll high enough to perceive anyone who is possibly magically disguised.
That is what it is.
Yes.
Okay, the next is the damage done to this building magically caused? Arcana check?
You can roll an Arcana check, but this better be high.
It's not terribly high. 17.
Well, with that roll, with your expertise with magic, you think, this is... I mean, it's a pretty centered it's an earthquake that is definitely...
Yeah.
Is rather confined. So you probably think, most likely, yes, which is probably what we were thinking before, but not enough to get any details from here, just on the information that has happened. I mean, it's basically... It's just a small section of the center of this town that's been damaged. The majority of the outskirts are... I mean, even look across the square, there isn't much damage.
Okay, so... My suspicions can't be more than just that.
Not from the evidence we have currently.
Right. So am I around the front of the building now?
Oh, we're trying to work our way around? Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, you've worked your way around those points. It's just basically skirting the tree there and then just maneuvering through the crowd.
Okay, I want to...
Basically, the watch is basically standing almost like in a well, kind of like a wall between, basically in a semicircular pattern in front of the inn, about 10 feet away from the actual inn, helping people come out now and keeping everyone else back.
Okay. Is there a way in here?
There are several ways that you could manage to get in here. Because there are lots of holes and places where but some of them aren't necessarily the most stable by the looks of them.
Alright.
And all of them are being watched and guarded.
I am going to try and find a spot that's reasonably stable, not on fire.
The flames have been put out at this point.
Okay, and a spot where I can actually enter the building. Probably going to be spotted, but I am just going to head towards that. We'll see what happens.
Alright, well, as you approach a few members of the watch say, "Stay back, please. This is watch business. This is a clear emergency. All civilians must stand back."
Well, I'm not going to pull the "don't you know who I am" thing, because that's just really stupid.
Because they probably do not at this point.
What's that?
Because they probably do not at this point.
But I am going to say, look, I've helped out in a lot of crises, but just down in the last little while. I'm quite capable of taking care of myself. I wanted to make sure that all survivors get out.
Roll a perception check. Sorry, persuasion check.
Let me pass. Natural 20.
When it works, it works.
Why is it on the stat skill that I have the worst capability on?
Why was I able to massively intimidate Father Gregor that one time early on in this session? Early on in this campaign? Who knows? It just happens. That's the way the dice roll sometimes.
Yep. All the gods want me to go in here, so I'm going in here.
Even taking into account the -1 that you have, which doesn't matter on a natural 20.
I
Yep.
don't care.
You are... they do seem to recognize, yeah, I think that these two have actually been of help over the past.
He's not with me.
Anyway,
Yes. There we go.
they're letting you pass through, but they're definitely keeping an eye on us.
Well, it's been kind of difficult if we're going into the building.
Yes.
So as I go in, I want to, well, first off, I do actually want to check to see if there are people that might be trapped.
The watch is able enough to get most of the survivors out. They were doing that in a relatively quick manner.
The other thing I want to do is make my way up to where Vapula's room will be, or was.
Okay, so you're...
Its new position.
Yes. Alright, so you want to go in and then find a staircase up, presumably. Or are you going...
Once I'm out of the general area, I don't really need a staircase. I just need a vertical surface that I can...
Well, you can do that, but the clearest one to that was on the back windowsill. With the...
Yeah, but that's a little too obvious that I'm going into her room.
Yeah.
This is more of a... If I run into her, it could be... I'm just looking for survivors. Are you okay? And I can hopefully bluff my way through that.
Okay. So are you going...
Right into her room.
Okay, so the question I do have to ask at this point is, are you trying to actually go in through any of these openings, which are just either broken windows or just sections that are not completely collapsed in on themselves? Or are you just going up the side of the building?
On inside the building, so I want to make my way up. First off, I'm going to try and find stairs. If there are
Okay,
stairs,
so we are going in. Okay, so we go into the building.
Yes, we're going into the building because I don't want the watching me that closely.
Okay.
And I want to head up. I want to head up to where I think her room is currently.
Okay. Alright, so we want to head up to the penthouse, which is technically only 2 floors, or at this point probably a floor and 2 floors and a bit above us.
Alright.
So it isn't hard to find a staircase. It is not the most intact at this point.
That's okay. I'm not too concerned about that part of it.
No, because you can walk on walls.
Unless it looks like it might crumble and fall. Yeah, I'll just walk up the walls.
Okay. So, how am I getting through that? I was gonna roll for the stairs to see if I can step on them lightly enough to get across. That's not. That's 9 total. It's not terrible. So
they're not that bad.
They're not that bad. Some sections do definitely, like near the base of it, give way, but taking a generous step over those and then climbing up afterwards is easier.
I'm just gonna pick my way up.
Okay, well, you've been up this staircase once before, which does... Are you going to stop at all on the 4th floor, which is the one immediately before the penthouse, to look around?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Because I'm also looking for... I didn't see Vapula in her room, so I'm also looking to see if she is possibly in one of these corridors.
Mm-hmm.
Also, possibly if, she got caught in the explosion. And lastly, of course, if I'm going to try and feel as I go through that there might be someone invisible nearby. That sort of thing. I'm trying to cover my base.
Okay, so this sounds like an investigation check.
That's something I can do, and I'm not going to roll a 20 this time.
I can give you an advantage on this by assisting you.
With advantage, that is a 21.
Alright, 21. So doing this quickly, we go through the 4th floor, which is a bunch of rooms. Most of the doors are still locked because people probably decided to open their windows, as you said, and just go out the slightly easier way. Because their windows were probably only about 6 feet off the ground at this point. So a lot of the doors are still locked, so unless you want to actually force or pick or use knock on have me cast knock on any of those doors, we aren't going to be able to go into most of these rooms. The ones that we are able to open...
I'm not going to do anything beyond
just
knock on the door. Is everyone okay? Pretend. I'm trying to keep with the trade that we are looking for survivors.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to try some of the knobs to see if they are not locked. But beyond that, I'm not spending a whole lot of time on the 4th floor besides looking for her.
So the majority of them are locked. Some of them are unlocked, either because the lock is broken or because people actually did come out this way.
Right.
But for the most part, you don't find any survivors. You can't be certain about the rooms which are completely locked but you don't hear, no one responds to you, so you don't think there are any survivors. But but some people may not have been so fortunate to make it out. Is another possibility.
Yes. Well, for the moment, unfortunately, my priority is finding her.
Yes. So that is the majority of the 4th floor. So then if you want to move on up to the penthouse, we can.
Yes, that's where I'm going next.
You did not...
How many rooms were there on the top floor? Was it just the one?
Just the one. Just the penthouse. It takes up the entire floor. There are... And on this floor, there was close to 20 rooms. So, you also did not, in all our investigating, did not brush against anyone invisible.
Okay, so I didn't get any sensation that there might have been, even if I didn't brush up against them, someone who is trying to obscure their viewfinding.
No.
Okay. Alright, up to her.
Yes.
Penthouse suite.
On this floor, as we move up, the penthouse, the door is closed.
Yep.
So you're going to try the knob to open it?
I'm going to keep this straight up. I'm going to knock, say everyone okay in here, and try the knob.
Well, as you knock, basically, presumably with your staff or your hand, the door actually moves open. It wasn't securely latched or locked, so it's open.
Okay, I am going to go in, saying, "Excuse me, anyone in here? Are you all right?"
There's no response, so I assume we are going to actually enter the room at this point.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I'm going to search the room.
Well, this room is largely intact,
Okay.
which is impressive because one of the trees did actually land on top of the roof of the. As you can see there, one of the trees did land on the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose it's possible, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm going to investigate this room.
Well, it also probably would have been more to the left. Sorry, more to the right. Us.
Thorough search.
Alright. Another investigation check with advantage for my assistance.
You have detect magic prepared?
I have it prepared. I have not cast it, but I can if you want.
That'd be a good idea, because this is the important room.
Okay, I will cast detect magic while you do your investigation check.
The investigation check is a 19.
Alright. 19 total.
Cool.
Total, okay.
Yeah, didn't roll too good at it.
Alright, well, we are looking around the room as I cast detect magic, because this is one of the times I actually do have it prepared, because we were planning on searching her room anyway.
Yep.
Between your roll and my detect magic, we easily detect is the evidence, or at least the remains of a magic ritual which has been cast here recently.
Okay.
Basically there are candles lit. There's evidence of a circle having been drawn. There's a brazier which was lit until recently, and there is the remains of paper which we recognize as belonging to out of a spell scroll.
Okay. Arcana check. Actually, first off, can you tell what school this ritual spell belonged to?
1 second, I have to just look this up.
Evocation, perchance?
It is indeed an evocation spell, yes.
I'm trying to discern what it was.
I can do that with my assistance, or do you want me to roll my own?
Probably should have, but 17.
Well, between the roll and my detect magic, we can determine the fact that this is definitely what caused the earthquake. This was likely some sort of ritual spell to cause a localized earthquake, similar to just to damage the building for whatever reason we don't know yet.
Okay, so for some reason, Vapula decided to trash her hotel room? She a rock star or something?
She has a god complex, but I don't think it helps with that. Hang on, I'm just going to have my character roll here. Yeah. No. That was me rolling intelligence check to see if my character could figure it all out based on the evidence we have, but no, not with that roll.
Huh. And the search of her room does not reveal anything.
Well, the search does reveal one thing, but apart from that, we move on to what was present. Next, we move on to what was basically her bedroom.
Yeah, I've been in there.
Yep. Your owl looked in there.
No, it was me. Remember, I didn't want to bring my owl out because I was worried that whatever was sleeping in the chair might have woke up, so it was just mine. I was trying to keep it as quiet as possible.
Okay. Well, there is a section of the wall has come... Basically, we're in a high-end hotel, and there was a painting on a wall in that room that has come down, basically, off of it, which is revealing a safe behind it.
Oh, okay.
Which is not uncommon in these higher-end hotels that rooms have safes like this.
Yes. Is there...
It is closed.
Any magic on it?
I am going to I just do it once over and I say, no, there's no magic protecting this safe.
Refresh my memory. How much... first off, I'm going to have a look at the metal of the safe. Is it... what type is it?
Roll and it has to be an intelligence check.
Well, shouldn't I be able to detect it because of my transmutation ability? I can only transmute certain metals.
Yes, you can only transmute certain materials.
So, is it... It's not going to be made out of gold or silver.
No, I mean, it's most likely steel. Minor alchemy. Let's look this up. School of Transmutation. Minor alchemy to perform a special one object composed entirely of wood, stone, not gemstone, iron, copper, or silver. Transforming different one of these materials. Yeah. I mean, a safe is most likely made of iron or steel.
Okay.
So you can attempt to do it if you want. If you want to take 10 minutes.
Is it locked?
Yes, it is locked. I could open that, I say.
Yeah, so you'd be burning a second level spell slot to do that.
Yes.
Keep that as a thought. For the moment, I think what I'll do is just concentrate on the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to convert it to wood. It'll take 10 minutes.
It's going to take 10 minutes, yep. So 10 minutes passes, my detect magic expires.
Yeah. Nothing else has popped up in the interim?
No.
Alright.
Put your hands to the door. You have to touch it throughout the entire 10 minutes.
No.
You don't? No, anyway.
No, just have to be there.
Alright, so after 10 minutes pass, the panel, the door, basically the door to the safe, which was probably largely iron, is now wood.
Okay. I am going to grab it by the handles and try and wrench it open with my massive strength.
Roll a strength check. This is feasible now, at least, but...
That'd be a 3. Alright. So that's not good.
That does not work! Would you like me to give it a try?
Yeah, go for it.
But I'm even weaker than you are, though. On the other hand, that's an 18 total. I basically take my staff and break the door. Well, I basically break the section where the lock is, presumably.
Yeah, that's all we need to do, right?
Yeah, and then open it.
Okay.
This is, this safe, which was hidden, is clearly where Vapula was keeping her valuables.
Are her valuables still there?
There's a small chest in here, yes.
Your detect magic is gone.
Yes. And the thickness of the metal of this door on the safe would have been thick enough to block it.
Yeah. I am going to examine the box to see if there's any traps.
Okay.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. It is not trapped. It is locked.
Okay. Take it out.
Okay. It's
Is there anything else?
basically what amounts to a jewelry box about this size.
Anything else in this safe?
No, this seems to be it. So it's probably all her stuff is in here. Her valuables, at least, are in here.
Okay, how is this like an ornate box?
Relatively, yes.
Doesn't matter. I'm gonna shove a dagger in the seam and just break the latch off of it.
All right, make another strength check.
Really? It's a jewelry box!
Yes, it's much lower, but still, you rolled a 3 last time.
I rolled a 12 this time.
That's more than enough. You had to beat a 10.
Alright.
All right, you break it and opening up. This is definitely where all our valuables are kept. This is full of treasure.
Okay.
There is a grand total of 500 gold coins in here,
Yeah.
50 platinum coins, which is worth the same amount,
Alright.
and various gems, which, if once we take the time to tally them up, also come to about 500 gold pieces.
Just the number of them, so 5? 5 gems?
There's not 5 gems, no, but they're of varying varieties, but yes. So, that's 500 gold worth of gold, 500 gold worth of platinum, and 500 gold worth of gems.
Alright, well that's how she was being able to afford this place.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to...
One of those platinum coins covers 2 nights' stay here. Where do you think the inn god's name from?
Yeah. I will dump all those into a bag.
Mm-hmm.
Put them into my bag of holding. Put the box back, close the door. We gotta go find her.
Alright, I said, where are we going to look? Well, there is only one further way to direction to check, I suppose, in this inn.
Down.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright, take the money and run. Walk downstairs.
Yes. We walk down the stairs. We do not run into anybody.
my eyes and ears open. Actually, at this point, I'm gonna have my owl sit on my shoulder and have her warn me if there's anything, because she can hear better than I can, and definitely has much better vision.
Okay.
And I'm not too concerned about, people seeing her, because that secret has left the barn a long time ago.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, head down. Try to find a way.
Alright, well, retracing our steps is easy enough. When we come back to the ground floor we're on, we have to shift a bunch of rubble out of the way, basically.
Yeah. Once on the ground floor, I'm looking for an entrance into...
The new ground floor.
Yeah. Whatever basement or cellar they have. Best place probably to start would be in the kitchens, because they may have a set of stairs going down into whatever food storage / wine rack kind of place there is. That would be a place to keep things cool.
Okay. So, it takes us... I rolled for that to see how long it was going to take. It takes us 14 minutes of effort to shift enough of this rubble out of the way that we can actually have a path that keeps going down, basically.
Yep.
There we go. So the good news is we don't actually have to go down the 3 floors that are actually comprised of what would have been below this inn, because they no longer exist.
Okay.
Because, well, they've collapsed in on themselves, right? The rooms are... Yeah, basically, that's what I'm going for, is the floors are just collapsed into themselves. So basically, we only have to go down 1 floor further.
Okay.
So this is a mismatch of a bunch of areas that you remember seeing on your first trip here vaguely, such as the next 2 floors, as well as the foyer of the inn, and where the desk clerk was. And there's also basically what will be the staff area in the back, which is where you think the kitchen would be, and where the next logical step down towards the basement would be.
Yes. Okay.
Alright. Okay, are we going to actually go into the staff room at all? Or are we just going to go pie it?
Well, I'm going to have a look.
Okay. Well, you attempt to open the door. It does open, in the sense that it falls off its hinges and onto the ground.
Yeah.
There are a few dead bodies in here. And
Okay. Yeah, we expected we would run this.
rubble litters the majority of these floors, which have been left here. Are we actually going to search the staff area?
Well, I'm going to make sure that there's anyone that's just injured and unconscious. I want to make sure if there's anyone that's survived.
You can do a broad medicine check if you want for that. It's probably not going to be...
Not very good. 11.
You said it was only DC 10. These people are dead. You can tell by... Without too much there's a few of them who looks like they haven't had as too bad injuries, but they've succumbed to them. This is...
Okay.
In total, there are about 5 staff members back here, including Quill, who was the tabaxi at the front desk when you were here the first time. Yes,
Okay.
it is a waste of a considerable amount of life.
Yes, definitely.
Are we actually so, I return to the question, are we searching this room at all? Or are we just moving on?
No. Time is a bit of an essence. She has a bit of a lead on us if she came down this way.
Alright.
Which doesn't make sense to me yet, but we're going to at least follow this. Her motivation is just escapes me. Alright, down into the cellars.
Alright, so we approach the way down to the cellars, and we find for the first time that our path is not obstructed.
Okay, if she came this way, I would expect, with all that rubble, for there to be footprints, possibly some kind of trail to follow. I'm going to look for something along those lines.
Alright, This could be an investigation or perception check, up to you.
Okay, well I have survival, and I have investigation.
Survival will be following the tracks. So,
Alright, investigation.
looking protracts as investigation or perception.
19.
19, that is more than enough. And you can see a clear set of 2 footprints heading down this way. 2 distinct sets.
Okay, when I was spying on her while she was sleeping, this sounds so creepy saying it aloud.
Look, she was an evil sorceress.
Yes.
The situation was very different than anything perverted.
No, definitely wasn't perverted. And I talked to her while she was sitting and talking
Yes.
to
You're
me.
fairly certain one of these footprints is Whipperwill's.
The other one, that, whatever that was sitting in the chair,
Is heavier set and possibly male and is following behind hers, you think. So whoever or whatever her bodyguard was, you think.
okay, so,
And the path has definitely been cleared. There's evidence of the rebel being moved out of the way.
okay. There we go.
Alright. So we actually approached down into the actual basement or cellar at this point, and you thought this couldn't get much worse, but the damage is worst here.
Okay.
As we're walking down now, we're coming to the conclusion that it's almost like this earthquakes went almost like traveled down the building and then out a little bit.
So just sort of like
Almost like a directed, yeah,
all these floors down into this area.
yes.
So,
And the foundation of the inn, most of them have collapsed, which explains why the inn has done that. And so has the floor of the basement, which seems to be leading down almost into like a sinkhole.
okay. And I can still find evidence that they went this way.
It's much more difficult, but yes. There is no other way to go, really, from here.
And I didn't see any footprints doubling back.
No.
Okay. Keep going.
Alright, so we go...
Is there a sufficient path for us to make it through?
It is not going to be an easy path, but yes.
Alright. Well, there's not much I can do with that at the moment. I did not take enhanced ability today, so that's not going to happen. Alright. Do the best I can.
Alright. So we're just going to climb down?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain this is the way they went.
Yeah.
Would my owl be able to hop or flap our way down here?
Easily.
Alright, let's start with that.
Okay.
Make sure that
She's a small owl.
What's that?
She's a small owl.
I'm gonna have her descend and see what's down there before we go down.
Alright. So she flies down, and I assume you're going to perceive through her senses.
Yep.
Alright. The area below is a mix of natural cave and artificial structure, you notice.
Okay.
There has been... the walls of this cave, for lack of a better term, have a mix of bioluminescent moss and mushrooms, which give off a dim light.
Okay. So it's dimly lit. That doesn't bother her any. Just
No.
make it.
And there's a natural tunnel which is twisting and winding forward.
Okay. She's gonna land on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Look and listen.
Right, roll a perception check for her.
Oh, that'll be a 1.
Oh, with advantage?
1 and a 2 plus 3, 5.
So 5. So not two natural ones.
No.
Okay, so 5. That's infinitely better than a natural 1. Your owl doesn't see much, but she can hear in the distance what sounds like water rushing by.
Okay, so nothing in the immediate area.
Nothing in the immediate area, no.
Alright, so down we go.
There we go. Alright, please roll this is probably dexterity check to try and keep our feet as we slide down this steep
Do this for
incline.
yourself.
Oh yeah, you don't have to roll, I suppose. Yeah, you don't have to roll. I, on the other hand, roll a 4. I tumble. Fortunately, do not hurt myself, but that definitely is not the most graceful of landings.
I'll help you out.
Yeah.
And then get my all perched on my shoulder again. And so, how's the lighting down here?
Dim. It is slightly lower than torchlight level, but it's enough to see by.
I don't think we need a light cantrip then?
The light cantrip would be brighter than this, yes. This would be...
Yeah, I don't really want to give that... I don't want to give that away just yet, so... Alright. The sky itself lasts...
An hour.
Hmm?
An hour.
Yeah. Doesn't really for that just yet. Okay. I'm gonna go.
Alright.
Keep an eye out for, traps, either just just footfalls that we might trip on. Just trying to keep an eye out.
Okay.
Natural and possibly stuff that she might have set up to
In that case, as we head on, roll one more perception check. 18. Okay, that is enough. The ground is relatively uneven. Not enough to trip, but there's no traps either, so we are able to proceed easily enough. Alright.
Keep my ears open.
Alright, so
my owl's ears open.
yes. So we travel forward along this tunnel for about a good 40 to 50 feet before it starts to open up into a large cavern, and we can move on to the next slide at this point.
Were we moving towards or away from the river?
We were heading north, so running parallel to the river.
No, so we're heading, in the map, we're heading that way.
Yes, we are heading. We're heading towards our image, or the images of us on the screen, basically.
Alright.
Zoom in, I guess.
Are we going from this down here?
We are coming from this the tunnel here off to the.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, the tunnel widens out into this large cavern, and there's more. The structure here is clearly more artificial. There's actually like stone flooring. We can see a bridge, or what was a bridge,
Yeah.
and there is a rushing river going by.
Yeah.
And we see a structure across the way, which is some sort of large building.
Very temple-esque.
Yes. And it is built into the side of what is basically a natural, almost like stone cliff or ledge.
Okay.
And you can see the...
That other cave-like thing in there.
Yeah, you can see basically almost like the entrance of either a cave or another tunnel up on there.
Move this down a bit. Alright, so. Stop, look and listen.
Alright.
Vapula.
Alright, roll a perception. Alright, no, you just finished. You just roll one, it's fine. We can remove that. Obviously you hear the sound of the river rushing by. That's the only sound you hear.
Yeah.
You tell by the sound, it's moving quite quickly, probably, so...
Pick up your trail again on the floor as we're walking.
That's a bit harder to do on cobblestones, basically, at this point, almost.
Yeah.
This is dirt, but there was no other... You can roll if you want, yes.
I do have survival, I'll also use it.
You can use a roll survival check if you want.
Oh, what a waste of an 18.
Yeah, you were able to follow the trail easy enough here. It's getting...
No. I rolled in the wrong tray, so I picked it up.
Oh.
11.
11. It was easy. You were still following the trail quite well up until this point, and it's getting harder to tell now, but there hasn't been any other way really to go at this point.
True.
Up until now, so...
So,
And there's no visible sign of her or her mysterious bodyguard on this side.
okay, we're gonna stop here for. Sorry, gonna stop here.
Yeah, that's basically where we're standing.
Yeah, and I'm going to have my owl fly across and examine this area here.
Right. Okay, your owl flies over.
Yep.
How high is she flying?
How high can she fly?
From floor to ceiling, it is probably about 30 feet.
So she's just going to hover just underneath,
Okay.
underneath the ceiling.
Okay. It's always interesting to ask loaded questions like that. Alright, so you're going to need to roll another perception check for her this time. Just...
18.
Alright, well, Yarl gets a good look at the bridge, which has definitely been broken. And the rushing river going by, which is going by quite quickly. Swimming across that is going to be difficult.
Is it deep? Like, could you tell? Like, if it were clear water?
Well, there's no stones floating in the on the surface there. So the river is deep enough for the remnants of that bridge probably to have sunk or to have been washed away.
Alright. Okay.
So we're not walking across that. It's about 15 feet across the other side, by the way.
15 feet?
Yes.
That's almost doable.
Almost. It's Missy steppable.
Yeah, and then some.
Yeah, so you get a good look at that cliff. Well, basically it's not too high, actually. It's only about a 10-foot climb.
Are you talking about this part here?
Yes, as you're flying over that. It's about 10 feet up.
Yep.
And it's a little bit like a shelf or a plateau area, and there's indeed a tunnel and a cave entrance with a tunnel going down that goes into the actual cliff, and then you come to this structure, which is built adjacent to that stone cliff face.
Yep.
And it is quite ornate, quite intact. There is a courtyard area.
Yep.
There is some steps leading up to that courtyard area. There are several pillars. There's a heavy set of stone doors on the actual building itself. And there is a body lying about in basically just near the about midway between that courtyard there.
About here?
A bit further towards the stairs, closer to the stairs.
Oh, this way.
Yes, about that. Just near.
And whose body?
It does not look like Vapula.
The other gentleman. Well, I mean, all I saw was in the dark.
Yeah.
Male, masculine figure, possibly.
It looks, based on the check, it looks like him. And it looks like he is dead.
Looking through her eyes, can I discern cause of death?
You can attempt a hefty medicine check if you want.
Yeah, I know. I'll give it a try from this distance.
Yeah. The DC is definitely higher than what it would have been if it were you.
Never mind. I can't really tell through owl eyes.
Yeah, because you would have to be using her stats for this.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Alright.
You're pretty sure.
Just have her pop back out and come back to me.
Okay.
Let's approach this stream, or rushing torrent of water.
Well, the river, yes. This is basically an underground river.
Okay, you said from here to there is 15 feet.
Yes.
How about from here to there?
That's probably closer to about 12.
Alright,
Somewhere between 12 and 13 feet, if you wanted to be very specific.
I'll walk up to the edge of the bridge,
Yes.
have a look down.
It is a relatively deep river. We're not going to touch bottom if we set foot in this thing.
Okay.
It is basically, near the edge, it goes down, and the water's just eroded most of it over the years, and over how long it's been down here. The river is probably somewhere between 10 and 15 feet deep at the middle,
Yeah.
and it deepens quite quickly, so it's going to go from about a foot or two near the bank to probably about where we're not going to be able to stand very, very shortly in that. And it's moving quite quickly, you can tell. So swimming is going to be going to be somewhat difficult, even for me.
I'm going to back up.
Yep.
I'm going to do a running jump.
Okay. This is, it's either athletics or acrobatics, depending how you want to go about this.
I have neither, but I am fairly dexterous,
So,
I'll give that a try.
You're going to give acrobatics a try. Okay. So you're going to basically almost go pole vaulting.
I wish I'd learned how to pole vault now. Alright. I do not know how to pole vault, so I will just leap.
This is just a dex check then.
11 make it.
You ready? Alright, you leap. And...
Hold on. I'm not landing in the water. I'm going to re-roll that if I figure that 11's not going to make it.
you are going to make it to just basically collide with the edge of the bridge, and you're going to have to probably scramble up if you want to. There'll be another check involved if you want to try and get across.
That's fine.
It's fine? Okay. So you collide on the edge of the bridge, and you are now trying to pull yourself up without slipping down on what is a relatively slick stone near water. This is definitely a strength check to pull yourself up, I'm afraid.
Stuck with dexterity. 6.
You want to re-roll that? You have luck.
I know, but I might need the luck later. I should have used the burn luck point on the dexterity check. Hindsight.
Hindsight, yes.
So I am pointing at a map. So I'm basically here.
Yeah, you're basically hanging on to the edge of this. It's not very comfortable because this is, as you can see, there's not a clean break on this bridge.
No.
And you're going to need an answer on whether or not you're going to be using luck to scramble up or not.
One luck point.
You're going to burn the luck point. Okay.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. You all of it, it's like, yep, slip, and then you find you're grabbing and just pull yourself over and you roll onto the bridge.
Alright. Luck paid off that time.
Luck paid off. A little bit of an adventure there. And then, seeing how that you had some difficulty with that, and knowing that you are both stronger and more dexterous than I will simply Misty Step across.
Go for the adventure. You can swim.
I can also breathe underwater, so there's less risk involved, but still.
Alright.
I teleport across to join you.
Alright, now that we're here.
Now that we are here, yes, on the opposite side of this bridge.
I'm going to go over and have a look at that body with my eyes.
Okay. So you're approaching basically what amounts to a temple, for all intents and purposes.
As I approach, before I get to the body, I want to make sure I'm going to survey the area, see if this person stepped on a trap. Like, I want to make sure that they didn't die because of their positioning.
Okay, so you're looking for traps for all intents and purposes.
Yes.
Alright, roll an investigation check with my assistance.
That would be a 24.
24. That is very good. So as we cross the river and we approach this stone structure.
Yep.
So basically, as we're so it doesn't show up on the graphic here, but basically at the top of these stairs there is a set of almost like stone doors that form like a gate entering this courtyard area, which have been pushed open. The body is just inside that. And there is with a 24, you can also see that there is almost a perfectly straight scorch pattern across the base of this courtyard.
So this way or
Nope.
this way?
Vertically, this way. Like up to north to, if the building is north to south.
So this way.
Yes, this way.
So I figure he tripped something.
Yes, and even with a 24, you can faintly smell on his clothing what smells a bit like burnt ozone.
Oh, he got electrically fried. Oh, okay.
And yeah, like I said, the scorch pattern is almost a straight line.
Okay. Do I see what triggered it?
Yes, with a 24, you definitely see what triggered it. Basically, on that dais there, in the courtyard, there is a similar scorch pattern. There's another scorch pattern, but it's in a vaguely circular shape.
Yep.
And basically, it looks like that's where that originated.
What set it off? Was it him opening the gate, or did he step on something?
You don't see any pressure plates or anything. You just see that the doors have opened. He's basically, as you can tell, he forced open. Vapula probably had him force open the doors because he looks stronger than she is. He stepped in, and then he died.
Okay. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to carefully approach the body.
Okay.
Owl's not going to be. I'm going to pop her out of existence at this point. So
Okay.
I'm already tried. I'm going to cautiously keep an eye on the ground. Not going to touch anything. I'm going to approach.
Apart from the ground.
Besides the ground.
Yes.
Make sure. I'm going to check for pressure plates, and I want to examine him.
Okay. So, with a 24, you can easily examine the floor as you go up to the body. It's not that far. It's only about 10 feet from the base of these stairs up to this. Alright, so you go up and you examine the body. And now you want to examine the body. So, this is going to be a medicine check with a much lower DC than it was before. Because now it is someone with medical skills examining a dead body.
Well, that'd be a 3 plus 5, 8.
An 8. This is
No,
not
good enough.
This is not your day for medicine checks.
No.
He's badly burned, and based on your the faint smell of ozone, you think it's likely he was struck by lightning.
Okay. I'm gonna search his body.
All right, you search his body.
14.
He is wearing a dark cloak, studded leather armor. He has a short sword and a mace, both on his belt. There was an area where a coin purse likely was, but is no longer there.
Under their own bodyguard's body? Oh, this is a cruel woman. Okay.
You don't find anything really of note.
Alright. So, now that I'm up here, I'm going to have a look at this area.
Yes.
Does it look like...
That is where the second set of stone doors into the actual building is.
Yes, and does it look like she opened those doors? Or are they closed? Are the doors closed? Let's just start with that question.
The doors are closed, yes.
Can I discern if there was a set of footprints heading towards there and came back?
So, just estimating on distances, that's about 90 feet across this courtyard.
Yeah, but I'm gonna check
Yeah, you're looking...
close and then see if I can follow
Alright,
the
so
path.
without moving and following the path, you're going to have to roll a perception check to roll it high. And your owl is not out at the moment because you unsummoned her.
Yes, but I can resummon her now that I know I'm not gonna get fried.
Alright, so you resummon your owl to gain advantage on the perception check. Fine.
Natural 20.
Natural 20.
That's my third or fourth one today.
Yep. Alright. So, natural 20. You do not see any footprints going further in this way.
So she did not proceed.
Past this point. However, you do notice several other things.
Alright.
One, that circular scorch pattern is definitely the remnants of some sort of, well, basically what would have amounted to some sort of circle or glyph before all this happened. And from that roll, you can actually see, well, a few more of them scattered around the area.
Oh, so that was not the only glyph. Can I...
No. With a natural 20, actually, you can probably count them. There are, you see 4 more of these. They are not all in the same area. Alright, so 2 are on, you see the pillars in the courtyard?
Yes.
Yeah, these, the set of 4 there. The second set, so the 2 further in,
Yeah.
those 2, each have 1 on the basically on the side that's facing each other. There are 2 more of those circular glyph designs.
Yeah, on this face and then on the inside face.
Yep. There is another one on the stairway leading up, the stairway on the top of it, basically on the side of the dais, so just a bit further up. No. The dais is this circular part here.
This thing.
Just after the staircase.
Yeah. Like here?
There's one there.
Okay.
On the center of that dais is where the scorch mark was, where the fur has been set off.
Yeah.
And there is one neatly disguised on the door itself.
On this door.
Yes.
Okay. So.
You can roll an Arcana check if you want.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I do have an idea for this. The problem is, she's not here. Dirty 20.
Alright, that's roll half. These are a type of spell known as a Glyph of Warding, which are basically one of the few rare spells which are permanent when cast, or until they are triggered, obviously. They can be used to either set off just a destructive burst of magic in a radius around them, or, much like the second one you suspect, can be used to store a spell. In this case, you suspect was a lightning bolt.
Alright.
You do know that once these glyphs have been triggered, they're gone for good. So that one is no longer an issue. The other four are.
Yeah, but she did not come this way.
Yeah.
I am coming back.
So you come back to where I'm standing 10 feet behind you, basically.
No, I'm coming back to this.
Yes.
But she's still the priority.
She's still the priority.
As much as I want to investigate this, my current possible method of getting in there will take about 50 minutes, so...
Did you say 50 minutes?
50, yes.
Okay, I'm curious to see what this method is.
Yeah, but for the moment, back down the staircase, around, and to get up to where that tunnel is.
Alright, so we come to the actual, basically, well, the cliff shelf, effectively.
Yeah. And now that I know what that glyph looks like, I'm definitely keeping an eye out for those things.
Right.
There's more of them here.
Oh, why not? We'll work off the natural 20 there for one more thing. You do not see any more glyphs here. This section of the area clearly is completely natural, effectively. So it's just a cliff face. It's about 10 feet high, so it's just a bit above our heads.
Yeah.
And you do know that the tunnel is up there that your owl found.
Okay. 10 feet, you said?
Yeah, it's 10 feet.
Oh, walker. Do you need a hand up?
Well, I'm going to toss my rope up to you. If you can secure it to there, that'll help.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can hold on to it. Well, actually, no.
No. I think it's better if you secure it to something.
I don't tie it to something.
Neither of us is very strong.
No.
And then I easily am able to climb up after you.
Okay. Before we muck up the area with our own footprints, are there any footprints up here per?
Alright, you look around?
Yes.
Right. We will have to roll a fresh check at this point.
Alright. The cavalcade of 20s is continuing.
Oh, okay.
Natural 20.
Natural 20, good. Zoom went odd there for a second, so I didn't hear it.
Oh,
But it's fine. It's fine. We heard you the second time. So, a natural 20. There are indeed a set of footprints here that resemble Vapula's, and they are heading into the cave.
Alright. After her we go.
Just one moment, I say. Something about this strikes me as odd.
Just one thing?
Well, it's just... Obviously, the Court of the Seven, as far as you know, are composed mostly of sorcerers, and they seem to be after sources of magic, as far as we can tell. So, a magically warded temple is something she just ignores in favor of a strange cave. After her... Admittedly, her bodyguard did die. That might have been the cause for it, but it still strikes me as odd.
Alright.
It's just something, just a thought that occurred to me, I say.
When you mentioned that,
Yeah.
first off, this whole thing initially struck me as extremely odd. But, now that we've gotten here,
Yes.
I suspect that she got some sort of information, possibly from her fellow gods, to
Yes.
And she was obviously given a very powerful scroll to investigate this. Caused the earthquake, came down here to investigate. Her bodyguard got fried. So she's probably of a mind. This is, I mean, just trying to think like her. That it would be safer to investigate that before coming back to here. So our thinking is, more preferentially, is to look for her and then come back to here. Her, on the other hand, is probably just, while she thinks about things, is just trying to eliminate all other possibilities and then come back and try and figure out what's going on here.
All right.
That's my thinking so far.
So, are we going into the cave?
Yeah, long story short, follow her. And at this point, I think we should start trying to be stealthy.
All right. Well, in that case, we are going to be rolling a stealth check.
Yep.
Yeah, that's quite good. 16.
Number 6.
Oh, 16, 6.
No, number 6. The 6th natural 20.
Oh. This is from last campaign. This is similar to that one session I rolled 11 in a row.
Near 11, but I'm happy with 6 20s.
Yep, this is quite good.
Yeah.
All right, so I am quite stealthy, and I seem to have lost track of you.
24 total if that
Yeah.
matters.
No, it doesn't. All right, so as we get in the tunnel.
Yeah.
There is no light in here, by the way. We have.
Have an owl.
Yeah.
I am going to try and do that trick we've done before and proceed with her sitting on my shoulder and me peering through her eyes looking for her nightmare.
Well, the good news is, even with the slight awkward procedure of her standing on your shoulder, and this isn't a very wide cavern, so it's basically
That's something I've done before, so
also
I'm getting better at it.
I'm basically going to be right beside you, so I can help guide you a little bit.
Okay. So you're blind.
Yes, so blindly we stumble onwards, but still quietly somehow.
Amazing.
This tunnel goes forward for only about 30 feet before it opens up into a small chamber for all intents and purposes.
Right.
It's about 30 feet across, 20 feet, so yeah, 30 feet across to the other side, where we see another tunnel through Owl's dark vision, and 20 feet wide, and only about 10 feet high.
Okay.
We are not alone in here.
Okay.
There are a pair of creatures here we've not encountered before. They are almost like a cross between snakes and slug-like, until you come to their... This is, again, all you're seeing through your Owl's dark vision.
Yeah.
When you come to the head, it becomes almost like an octopus. There's 4 tentacles coming off it with octopus-like suckers. There's a beak in the center, and at the end of the tentacles, there's almost like these hooks on each of them.
Okay.
And there's 2 of these creatures in here.
And,
And they have not noticed us because of our very high stealth checks.
okay. Next question is, did she pass by here?
So you're trying to find out if she came through this tunnel, basically. Came through this chamber.
Well, I know she came in here and went at least this far. Did she cross the chamber?
Roll a perception check. This is...
Dirty 20.
When is the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah, so it's combat.
So it's
Where
combat.
it is.
Hurts, yeah. Yes, you can see the trail going through here through Owl's eyes, but it's hard to follow. Yes, she went through here, but it's difficult to do so. That was a high DC, even with dark vision.
She continued. They didn't care.
Or she just made it through here quick enough. There's 2 sides to this. You can sneak through, or you can just run through, I suppose.
Well, we're currently stealthy. stealthy, but that doesn't mean that's going to continue.
Yeah, they move, well, vaguely like snakes and worms. They're moving around in the chamber.
Whether or not sneak by.
They've not seen us yet. If they can see us.
If they can see, well, if they have blind sight, that doesn't make any difference. Alright, I'm gonna...
Blind sight only sees through blindness and things, so you can still stealth through it.
I'm going to watch if there's an opening for us to sneak past them. And if there is, I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and we'll go.
Okay. There is a definite moment where we can pass to the other side. They're just sort of milling around a little bit. You think this is like a nest or something.
Alright. Well, let's stealth our way
Yes,
around.
and this is the second stealth check, yes.
Not nearly as high.
Hang on, do I have inspiration? I'm trying to remember that.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. So you gave me inspiration last time. I'm going to use that here. Because I'm not the stealthiest individual, and that 16 I got total was quite good. Well, it's a good thing I did that. Because there was a natural 1 on one of those dice. 15 for the other one.
I'm one better than you.
Okay. Both of us, through just assuming these things actually do have some sort of visual capabilities, we just sneak around and basically form a winding path through the room, and we make it to the other side without being noticed, it seems.
Bonus.
And I've used it in my inspiration point. That you gave me last session.
I still have one. I gotta remember to use those things.
Yes.
On we go.
On we go, avoiding the creatures that we don't know what they are called.
We do have to come back this way. At least I think we do anyway. Well, actually, I am going to come back this way because I want to check that temple. That is just too juicy to leave without investigating.
Okay. Alright, so we follow this cliff face, well, the tunnel for all intents and purposes, and its cliff face. It curves around and then starts heading downwards, we notice.
Okay.
Alright, so it's becoming a bit steeper, so... Actually, it's not a problem for you. It's only a problem for me.
If it's wet, it is a problem for me.
No, it's pretty dry in here.
Alright.
It is going to be, but as we keep heading down, we realize this is probably going to get steep enough that, well, I'm going to have to start making dexterity checks probably to try and keep my feet.
Okay.
We're definitely heading down now.
I can help you that way.
Yeah.
Is it still really dark in here?
Yes, there is no light.
Alright, so we have to continue in this very odd pattern.
Yes.
So,
Which, by the way, because I'm blind at the point, even with your assistance, it'll just be a straight roll.
alright.
Yeah.
Can I still locate her footprints?
You can roll another survival check to try to follow them with your owl's eyes, which means you're still using your owl's senses.
That will be 16.
Okay. Alright, so yes, you are still able to follow her tracks.
Alright. Weird. On we go.
On we go. Alright, so, with your assistance, I have to make a dexterity check now, which is just a straight roll.
Alright, try not to fall.
That's a 5. I do fall.
Can I catch you?
You can attempt to do so, yes.
Strength or dexterity? Strength? Dexterity?
Up to you, really. Either or.
I'll go with the one I have a positive modifier in.
Yeah, once again, it's just going to be a straight roll, but...
10.
10, I think that's enough. That's fine. So you do catch... I do lose my footing, and you're able to catch me without me... Again, we're not falling far enough to cause harm, but it would definitely cause noise.
Yes, I want, if we do eventually find her, not to be at a disadvantage. I want to hopefully sneak up on her.
Yes. All right. So we continue along the corridor for this tunnel for another about 5 minutes, and I'm going to have to make one more dexterity check at this point.
Alright.
No, that's going in the wrong direction. That's a total of 4 this time.
I will attempt to catch you one more time. Not a problem. 19.
Yep.
I'm getting used to this.
Alright, so Alright, with that we are able to continue along the rest of the corridor with relative ease, as it's starting to level out again.
Good.
And we start to notice that the walls are becoming smoother. And there's less dirt.
Has it worked?
Somewhat, yes, and there's less dirt. And we also see light up ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna stop and listen.
Alright. Roll a perception check.
Number 7.
That's a 7th, that's another natural 20?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you just flipping a coin that has 1 and 20 on it? No? Alright! Well, with that, you can still faintly hear the sounds of the creatures that we still don't know the names of from behind us. They're in the distance now, but you can still faintly hear them because, well, this thing is a massive echo chamber. You also hear the sound of what you think is a familiar voice up ahead.
And is the voice idly talking to herself? Outraged? Frustrated? Can I pick up any kind of...
Even with an natural 20, you can't really make out the words at a distance, but yes, it sounds like a somewhat irritated conversation, is what you're catching.
Okay, as in... Sakura saying, I can't find it! That was Sakura, wasn't it?
No, Kura, I think, is the one you're thinking
Sakura!
of.
Oh, Sakura? Anyway, you know what movie I was referring to.
Yes, I know what movie you're referring to. Who knows if anyone else will?
Looking for his lamp. I mean, not his lamp.
Wow, you're mixing those films up quite a lot.
Yes.
Anyway. But...
I'm Tiger.
No!
No.
Golden Voyage!
Golden Voyage. He was looking for the... Yes, he was
The
looking
disc.
for the section of the medallion, whatever it was. They couldn't find it.
This is going to be very interesting to see what our viewers think of this. A little bit of movie trivia in the middle of
The
this.
other one, though. The other one, he was looking for the lamp. Didn't he say the same sort of thing?
I don't think so.
I have to watch that movie again. It's been a while. Anyway,
Well, if nothing else, you've expanded people's knowledge of somewhat of old Sinbad films.
oh yeah, check him out. Ray Harryhausen. He's awesome.
Anyway!
Heading forward. Ultra stealthy at this point.
Okay, so one more stealth check. Without advantage this time.
My inspiration point of this.
You are bird. Okay, I can't.
I'm definitely going to. 23.
Unnatural 20.
Perfect.
The wall, we are coming to what looks like a wall, and because from the light we can see this is indeed like stone bricks, stone blocks layered. And one of them has been moved ahead. And there's light coming through, and you think we can actually squeeze through here.
Okay, so this is possibly a secret door she opened?
Possibly.
Alright.
And the only structure you can think around here that has a secret door is probably that temple-like structure on the outside.
Okay, so possibly we have circumvented all those death traps?
Yes.
Or she thought she... Alright. She got some interesting information, this lady.
Well, she may not have known it, but this was here and was just trying to avoid all that. That's what we were doing. We stumbled on this too.
Trying to follow her.
Yeah.
Anyway, sneak around the corners, and what do I see?
Alright. So as we look around, we see a very large room with a massive staircase leading up to an ornate set of doors. We're at the base of that staircase, basically, so... And about 10 feet from the staircase, we see a familiar set of double doors. We think we're on the inside of that building now.
Okay, so we've gone sort of spiraling downwards.
Yep.
Gain of level. Door. Opened. And there's a set of stairs heading up.
The door's closed.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
There's a set of stairs heading up to what we think is this closed door?
No. We think we're on the other side of that door now.
Yes. So on the other side. Okay.
We're on the other side of that door, and there's a staircase leading up. We're at the base of it.
Yeah.
We're just looking through this little, basically the hole now.
Where's our friend? She in here?
Yep. Unlike the rest of this area is quite intact, unlike the rest of the area which had a feel of ruins to it. This is pristine. And before the door, which is at the top of the staircase, there's a double set of doors, and there is Lady Vapula floating in front of them.
Floating.
Yeah, she's not on the ground.
Okay, so fly or levitate?
Yep. She seems to be floating around looking at the doors, which are almost as tall as the room is, basically, at that point.
Okay. I'm going to motion signal to you that we go back around so we're at that brick wall door or whatever.
Okay, so we're going back into the tunnel a little bit.
Yeah, just so we're not right in front of her.
Yep.
Shall we?
Oh, so we're doing this now, I say.
She doesn't know we're here.
Yes, we have the advantage of surprise. Unfortunately, I will just point out one more time, we were planning on having one more person help us with this.
True.
I suppose technically she is also down a member of her personnel.
Still 2 against 1.
Well, we've had worse odds.
Yes. No more of our little crystal friends to help.
No, that is a bit of a concern. Admittedly, the last one was only so much useful.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it depends on if we can take her down easily enough.
Quickly enough. Well, I think it's our best opportunity.
Alright, well.
There's no guarantee if she gets whatever she's looking for that she isn't just going to hightail it out of here and we'll lose her.
Yes, whatever she's looking for.
Yes. So, let's do this.
Just based on the conversation she seems to be having with herself, possibly.
Yeah, can I hear that now?
You can make another perception check if you want, now that we're close enough to make out the words.
The cavalcade of 20 is stopping, apparently. 11.
11. Okay, that's enough to get some of it.
So is she...
Do you want to... You still have 2 luck points. Do you want to reroll, or...
No.
No? Okay. Well, she's mostly muttering to herself, so the volume varies from point to point in the conversation. But it does sound like she's either conversing with herself. It's an odd thing. You're not sure at this point if you're just missing parts of the conversation with herself, or you're listening to half a conversation that she's having with some unseen individual or something.
So...
And it's... What we can gather, it's how to open this door, which she cannot figure out. She's muttering something about the carvings on the door making no sense.
With my knowledge of magic,
Yes.
is it possible she is cast? I know she has this ability. Is she?
Yes, you know she has been in contact with other members of the Court of the Seven. She said she was receiving sendings from the mountain.
Does it sound like she's conversing via sending?
You can roll an Arcana check for this if you want. Yeah.
14.
14. That's enough to get knowledge of sending. Sending's a bit above our current ability to utilize magic, and it's not one you've seen before, but you're familiar with enough of it to know from that roll that sending has a 25-word limit on both ends of the sides of the conversation. So this conversation she's been having has gone well over 25 words. Admittedly, you can't hear if there is the other person responding at all. But just from that, you start to think, this doesn't seem like that.
Okay. Is she like gonna peek around with my owl. Is she holding like a small stone, like or crystal ball, or any other object in her hand?
You don't really see anything in her hand. You notice the only difference between her now and when you met her previously is that she has almost like something about the size of either a small backpack or a satchel just over her shoulder, which she did not have last time.
Okay, I'm gonna look at her body language while she's doing this. Is she looking like she's turning her head and conversing with somebody? Or she's just looking at this and talking in general?
Alright, that is an insight check. From an entire room away. From the other side of a room, basically.
9.
She doesn't look like she's turning, she looks like she's irritated. That's about all you can...
Alright.
She's not turning to face someone who is invisible, whom she can somehow see, but it's just not. She's not doing that, and she seems irritated.
Okay, so still possible an invisible helper. Possibly she's in communication with someone that's elsewhere.
And possibly she's just talking to herself.
Possibly she's nuts, because we already thought she was nuts.
Yes, we already came to that conclusion before this, so...
Alright, this is what I think we should do. Let's see if you agree.
Okay.
First off, I want to cast, this is me telling you what we should do, a disguise self on myself to look like our favorite scapegoat.
Oh, you want to disguise yourself as Zorik.
Yes.
Well, you've already successfully passed yourself off as him to her once.
Yep. Second thing I want to do is cast Dragon's Breath on my owl. She's a tiefling, so I'm just going to hedge my bets not go with fire.
Which is what you mostly have.
Yeah, lightning is a good one, because I'm playing off the fact that she might have been a little bit leery of those glyphs.
Okay.
Certainly her bodyguard was not lightning proof. And
No.
then we sneak forward and hit her with everything.
Alright.
Do you have any spells you want to prepare?
I might want to cast Mirror Image. I don't know. Do I want to cast that beforehand, or do I just... If it's just her, it might not be necessary.
Up to you.
No, but from the distance of the room, it's Frostfingers is going to be out of until one of us gets until I get closer to her or she gets closer to me.
Yeah.
So the best I could do is Magic Missile at 2nd level, probably.
Alright, let's sneak up.
Okay.
So, disguise self, last an hour, so we'll do that first.
Alright, so you disguise yourself as Zorik.
Yep.
Alright, you take on the familiar appearance.
Just as we're about to head out,
And you
cast
Dragon's Breath Lightning on your owl.
on my owl.
Yep, so you are concentrating on that spell. But not disguise self.
Not disguise self. And on we go.
And in we go. I want you to roll another stealth check as we enter the room.
I'll be burning a luck book.
Oh.
Can't burn them all.
What did you roll?
Be a total of 9.
Okay. There is... I rolled a 3 in total.
Just stuck on my first roll.
There is one other factor to this, though.
What?
It doesn't come into effect. We sneak in less effectively than we have the entire time, but it's more in trend with us in stealth, as we, unfortunately, our staves basically just clatter on the stone floor a little bit, which causes her to turn in our direction because her passive perception is not... Well, it's not below 9. It's definitely not below 3. And she turns to see us, and... Well, we're probably going to be rolling for initiative, I suspect.